My name is Emily Parker, and for most of my life, I believed that strength meant never showing weakness. I was raised in a small Midwestern town where people prided themselves on working hard, putting on a brave face, and never letting others see the cracks beneath the surface. But life has a way of teaching you lessons you don't expect, and sometimes those lessons come from the people you least expect, sometimes even from your own child. It all began during one of the hardest years of my life. My husband, Daniel, had recently lost his job at the local manufacturing plant, and my hours as a nurse were reduced when the hospital cut staff. We were living paycheck to paycheck, barely making rent on our small two-bedroom house in Ohio. Bills piled up on the kitchen counter like little reminders of failure, and no matter how much I tried to stay positive, the weight of it all pressed on me like a storm cloud I couldn't shake. My son, Matthew, was only 14 at the time. He was in middle school, a stage where most boys think about sports, video games, or what new sneakers they want. I tried my best to shield him from our struggles because I wanted him to feel safe and carefree. But Matthew was more observant than I gave him credit for. He had his father's eyes, deep, thoughtful, and quietly aware of everything. One evening after a long shift at the hospital, I came home to a dark house. Daniel was out looking for work, and Matthew was upstairs doing homework. I thought I had a few quiet minutes to myself, so I sat at the kitchen table, opened the stack of bills, and did something I almost never allowed myself to do. I cried. The tears came silently at first, rolling down my cheeks as I tried to calculate how we would cover rent, utilities, and groceries with the little I had left in my bank account. I felt powerless, defeated, and ashamed. I didn't notice Matthew standing in the doorway until he softly said, "Mom?" I quickly wiped my face, forcing a smile. "Hey, sweetheart. What are you doing out of your room? Don't you have homework?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked over and sat down across from me at the table, his brown eyes fixed on the papers in front of me. "Are we okay?" he asked quietly. My heart sank. I had promised myself I wouldn't let him feel the weight of our problems, but in that moment, I realized he already knew. Kids are smarter than we think. "We're fine," I lied, my voice breaking just a little. "Mommy's just tired." But Matthew didn't buy it. He leaned forward, his small hands clasped tightly together. "Mom, I saw the bills. I know it's hard, but you don't have to do it alone." I stared at him, surprised by his words. He was just a boy, but in that moment he spoke with a maturity that felt far beyond his years. "What do you mean?" I asked. "I mean, let me help," he said. "I can do something. I can get a job mowing lawns or helping Mr. Wilson at the corner store. I can even sell some of my baseball cards online. I don't want to just sit here while you're hurting." I shook my head, both touched and heartbroken. "Oh, honey, that's not your job. You're a kid. You should be worrying about your grades and your friends, not about money." But Matthew didn't back down. "Mom, I see you working all the time. I see you skipping dinner, so I can have seconds. I see you staying up late to figure out how to pay the bills. I know you think you're hiding it, but you're not. And I don't care if I'm just a kid. I want to help. Please let me." The truth is, his words broke something open in me. I had been holding everything inside, trying to protect everyone else, but in the process, I was shutting out the very people who loved me the most. Tears came again, but this time they weren't just tears of sadness. They were tears of relief. I reached across the table and held his hands. "Thank you, Matthew. You have no idea how much it means to me that you want to help. But more than money, what I need is this. You, sitting here, reminding me that we're in this together. That means everything." That night was a turning point. I didn't magically find a pile of money, and our problems didn't disappear, but something inside me shifted. I realized I didn't have to pretend to be invincible. It was okay to be human in front of my son. It was okay to show him that life can be messy, hard, and unfair, but also that we can face it together. In the weeks that followed, Matthew became my biggest cheerleader. He started doing extra chores around the house, without being asked. He walked dogs in the neighborhood for a little extra cash, and he even brought me coffee on the mornings I had to leave for work early. It wasn't about the money. It was about the way he reminded me every single day that I wasn't alone. And then something amazing happened. One Saturday, Matthew surprised me by pulling me into the living room. On the TV screen was a video he had put together with his friends. They had filmed little clips of themselves talking about their moms, about how much they admired them, and at the end, Matthew appeared on screen holding a handwritten sign that said, "My mom is my hero. She works harder than anyone I know. If you know someone struggling, remind them they're not alone." I cried again. Big, messy tears. But this time they were tears of pride. He didn't just support me privately. He wanted to remind others to support their parents too. That video ended up being shared around our community, and neighbors we barely knew started offering help, groceries, rides, and even job leads for Daniel. Eventually, Daniel found steady work again, and I was offered more hours at the hospital. Life slowly became less stressful, but I never forgot that night at the kitchen table. My son saw me struggling, and instead of ignoring it, he stepped up with courage and compassion. That moment changed everything for us. It redefined what family meant in our house. It wasn't about who earned the paycheck or who solved the problems. It was about standing together, being honest, and lifting each other up when the world felt too heavy to carry alone. Today, Matthew is 18 and preparing for college. He still teases me about crying at the kitchen table, but he also says that moment taught him what strength really is. He told me once, "Mom, I used to think being strong meant never falling down. But now I know it means getting back up, even if you need help to do it." I couldn't have said it better myself. And so, if you take anything from my story, let it be this. Never underestimate your children. They notice more than you think. They feel more deeply than you imagine. And sometimes, the very person you think you're protecting may be the one who helps you find your strength again. Because that night, when my son saw me struggling, he didn't just change my perspective.
He changed the course of my life.
And for that, I will always be grateful.